Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project drags the federal and state governments to the International Labour Organization over unpaid salaries. And the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission asks governors to be more prudent in the administration of governance. The Nigeria-British Chambers of Commerce makes a case for economic diversification, that is, through trade and industry for the growth of the Nigerian economy. And Charleston AME Church holds first service since racist killings. We'll begin tonight with the thorny issue of unpaid workers' salaries, as this continues to be a huge headline for the Economic, Social Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, which has dragged the state government and the federal government to the International Labour Organization, the ILO. SERAP is asking the ILO to establish without delay a commission of inquiry to examine systematic and non-observance of Convention number 29 on forced labour and other international standards on the rights of workers to timely payments of salaries. SERAP is contending that the failure and/or refusal of state governments and the federal government to pay workers' salaries and allowances for pensioners is a clear violation of the right to work, recognized by the various ILO's instruments and Article 6 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, to which Nigeria is a state party. SERAP says that the right to work is essential for the realization of human rights and forms an integral part of human dignity. The Chairman, Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, Mr. Elias Mbam, says that the inability of the state governors to pay workers' salaries is rather unfortunate. In an interview with our correspondent, Benga Ashiru, Mr. Mbam says that the shortfall from the Federation account should be an opportunity for the governors to diversify in order to internally generate more revenue. Mr. Mbam also advises governors to check abuses in governors by cutting down on their long lists of aids and cost of governance.
It's unfortunate, and I think it should be an opportunity for state governments and even the federal government to take advantage of the present situation to diversify the economy. I don't think that if any state manages what it gets from the federation account and also generates revenue that are available within this location, that they will be complaining. The problem is one: we are acting as if we had no problem and thereby having problem. We are acting as if we are children from a very rich family where you don't need to work to eat. Every month, each state sends its accountant general to come up to Abuja and pick money. And once you cannot pick that money, it becomes a problem. We have not been working to look behind our backyard to pick what are things that are available. Secondly, we need to check abuses. We need to be more prudent. Prioritize our expenditure. I'm surprised that people don't pay salary for 8 months. What do you use the money to do? Salary is basic. So we need to reprioritize our needs. For instance, at this time, why are people still appointing very long list of aides? We have to reduce our cost of governance.
For more on this interview, tune in to Question Time on Thursday, 14:30 hours. In the meantime, though, the Nigerian Labour Congress, the NLC, is asking of the 8th National Assembly to cut down their yearly budgets from 120 billion naira to 50 billion naira as part of measures to cut down the high cost of governance in the country. The deputy factional president of the NLC, Comrade Isa Aremo, says that since the number of the federal lawmakers have remained the same since 2003, when they were collecting 50 billion naira as annual budget, there is no justification for the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission to jack up their budgets by about 100%. Mr. Aremu described the reported 20% cut of the federal lawmakers' annual budget from 150 billion naira to 120 billion as a far cry from the current realities. The NLC factional deputy president describes as an injustice a situation whereby 109 senators and 360 members of the House of Representatives will spend as much as 120 billion naira in a year, while many states of the Federation cannot pay salaries for over 16 months, for over 7 months that is, and execute any meaningful projects. Well, as Nigerians wait with bated breath for the president to name his cabinet members, or certain issues like the state of the economy cannot wait for much longer. The Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce, at a meeting with the Nigerian High Commission in London, made a case for economic diversification through trade and industry. They believe that this should form part of the new government's first set of priorities.
Nigeria's new president will not be rushed into making decisions for the mere sake of it. President Muhammadu Buhari insists on a thorough process for the emergence of new ministers. The Nigerian Chamber of Commerce in the UK has high hopes that the new cabinet, when it emerges, President Muhammadu Buhari insists on a thorough process for the emergence of new ministers. The Nigerian Chamber of Commerce in the UK has high hopes that the new cabinet, when it emerges, along with the administration's roadmap, reviving industry and commerce, will top the chart.
Well, while it's difficult to speculate about the color and the shape of his cabinet, the expectation of the business community is that it will be a leaner cabinet than the past. Constitutionally, he cannot appoint less than 36 ministers, one each representing every state of the country. However, it will have a mixture of technocrats and business people in that government, because it should be focused on job creation, it should be focused on the capacity development and the development of alternative sources of revenue in the face of dwindling oil revenue.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, has struggled with the limitations of a single primary commodity, oil, for economic sustenance. Boosting trade relations with the UK could be an alternative among many other possibilities.
We would like to hope that he's going to appoint ministers with an entrepreneurial streak. From a trade promotion point of view, it's very important that the Ministry of Trade engages with the UK and vice versa. There's plenty of opportunities. We are very positively focused on certain sectors like agriculture.
The expectation of the Nigerian business community is that its government will sustain particularly trade relations between Nigeria and Britain and continue policies that helps to increase the non-oil export, thereby creating job opportunities for people in Nigeria and prosperity for British business that's in Nigeria. We believe that the invitation by the Prime Minister David Cameron to him, to the G7 meeting, is an indication of the direction, the positive direction that the relationship will take in the coming months.
It's better to be slow and appear late and do it correctly than to hurry up and be dancing to the tune of the press and ultimately choose the wrong people. I trust Buhari. I know he will try to do the best for the country, and when he does it, usually he does not regret.
An impressive cabinet or articulate policy documents offer minimal guarantees, as experts point out. Perhaps the success lies in the simple word, action.
And as the nation grapples with the dip in oil prices, which has led to loss of revenue, former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, says that government at all levels must make some hard decisions to lift the country out of the crisis. Speaking in an interview with Channels Television in Abuja, Dr. Ezekwesili said that the country is in dire situation with the inability of 20 states to pay salaries of workers, and the situation could get even worse if not properly handled. She said there are two options which the federal government must explore at the moment, and it includes blocking leakages in the petroleum sector and reducing the cost of governance.
The crisis is very deep. It is deep to the extent that the oil prices are not going to increase in the immediate future from the forecast. And the fact that oil prices constitutes still more than 70% of the revenue of the country. And in some of the states, as much as 90% of their revenue, what they collect of that of the federation allocation is very, 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 very dire. You know, when you have a fiscal crisis, you have your revenue side, you have your expenditure side. So you've got to move on both sides. In terms of the activities within the sector, some of the inefficiencies within the sector that have been a drain on the scale of revenue that it has been reporting, perhaps you can do a couple of things. You will need to scrutinize that sector and find as much money that ferreted off and bring them back into the till. That's going to be important. So intense scrutiny on the predominant source of revenue for the nation. And then we need to look at company income tax and look at value-added tax and see how in the medium term we can expand on them. That being the case, we now need to look at the expenditure side in the short term and medium term. In the short term, we want to cut everything that we can cut. In the medium term, we need to discuss matters that have to do with the structure of government, the size of government, tough conversations.
Former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Eze-Kwesili. And in part two, after the break, even with the debts associated with the consumption of illegal gin in Rivers State, dealers of the product in neighboring Bayelsa State say that the ban on the product is bad for their business. Stay with us.